Everybody, do a cookie. Oh, my hair look insane. But anyway, so I've just finished editing my chicken soup video. Now, I was missing some of the footage, and I don't know what's happened to it because I know I recorded it. Was the egg drop soup that I made, but it didn't turn out. But anyway, the reason I wanted to do this is because it bugs the crap out of me whenever I hear Chantal going, well, how did I not make chicken soup from scratch? I used the rotisserie chicken. And then she continued to use every known spice known to man. Lemon, Thai, Middle Eastern, Mediterranean, just threw it all in a pot, let it boil for 20 minutes and called it chicken soup. Now, I'm not a chef. I've never been to school, but I do know what chicken soup from scratch looks like. So I've made 4 different types of soups today. I'm just a home cook, but I do know what from scratch means. It does not mean birthing a chicken. It does not mean building the chicken. It basically means following the fundamentals of what scratch means is like making your broth and then using your broth to make the chicken soup. That's what it means. Now, you can make broth with a cooked chicken. You can make broth with raw chicken. But what Chantal did not know, that was chicken swamp water is what Chantal made when she made Nutta, the chicken soup. I have made what I have always made for chicken soup, plus a country style chicken soup, a Korean soup that I learned a couple of years ago, which again, I've had to tweak a little bit because I had some missing ingredients. Plus, like I said, like everybody's got their own chicken soup recipe. There are other versions of the same Korean chicken soup. And I've made egg drop soup, a very simplified version. Now, the basis of all of these soups is my homemade chicken broth that I've made from scratch, which hence makes it from scratch. Yes. Enjoy. Now, this was a hard one for me to edit because it was all over the place, but I think I've done well to get it out at all. Now, if you want the recipes, some of it's in my head. Some I've actually got from Mangchi is where I got the Korean noodle soup recipe from. The Dakgul Kuksu is where I've got that one from. The chicken, and the other 2 soups I know just in my brain. And then the egg drop soup I've actually got from Pinterest. So if you guys want those ones, just let me know. Hit me up on Instagram and I can pass them on if you want to try them. But I encourage you, even if you can't make chicken soup from scratch, just use some chicken broth and try these recipes because yum. And I know it's very cold and yucky over in America right now. And who doesn't like a nice big fat bowl, warm bowl of chicken soup? Enjoy! Bye guys. So these are my ingredients for my Korean chicken noodle soup. Okay, it's a homemade chicken noodle soup. It's meant to be called dakgalguksu, but I don't do the kal part of it, which is basically means knife cut noodle. So they're a homemade noodle. I don't do those. I just use a thin egg noodle because that's what I have. Normally, I'll use an udon noodle because it's thick and chewy, and that's what the handmade noodles are meant to be. They're supposed to have like a chewy texture. So basically, what I have here, I have grated zucchini, I have chicken breast, skin off, I have egg noodles, which are meant to be homemade noodles, but the texture's there, it's nice. This is meant to be just a regular onion, but I ran out, I used it all up and forgot. So I'm just using a red onion. The onion flavor just goes into the broth, so it's fine. I have sesame oil and gochujara, which is Korean chili powder, and I've just mixed those together. Whole cloves. I've run out of ingredients. Fish sauce, so I'm just using some dried anchovies, which I have pulled the heads off and taken the dried guts out of. These I have in my freezer, and I'm just soaking them in some water just to give it a little bit of a fishy taste, because you only need about 2 tablespoons of that. I might only use 1, so that'll give it a little bit of just like a deeper flavor in the broth. And I have some, for the garnish, I have some chopped up spring onion shallots, we call them. So that's going to be the Korean soup. And then over here, I have the makings of my my traditional chicken soup. And I'm also going to make a country creamy chicken soup. Normally it's chicken noodle soup, and that's what I originally was going to make. But I actually like to make it with rice, and I have some leftover rice that's been cooked that I need to use up. So this is my homemade chicken broth. I make this, I used to make it weekly, but I don't make it so much anymore. But I do make it occasionally. So yes, that's fat on the top, it's chicken fat, it's the flavor. So I make this by the traditional base for broth. And I made this batch in my pressure cooker. So I use chicken necks, chicken wings, celery, onion, carrot, bay leaves, and a tiny little bit of vinegar or lemon juice, depending on what I've got on hand, salt and pepper, tiny bit of chopped up garlic. That's it. I cook it. If it was on the stovetop, I'd cook it for a couple of hours, but because it's in the pressure cooker, I only do it for like 2 rounds of soup because I really want to get that flavor out of the chicken. So Then I strain it to get all the chunky bits out of it. Sometimes I'll put parsley in it, sometimes I don't, but I'll just strain the chunky bits out of it and then whatever's left over, and then I let it cool, and then I pop it in the fridge and I just use it all week. I use it for pastas, just soup on its own. I'll use it to make like miso soup, just to add extra flavor. I use it for lots of different things. And this time I'm gonna be making chicken soup. So this is traditional chicken soup from scratch because I've made my broth from scratch. Okay, so I have the soup magic trio: carrots, onion, and celery. There is celery under there, guys. It's chopped up all pretty much the same size, just diced, finely diced, because I will blend half of it and then leave the rest, so there's some chunk in there. Chicken breast, butter, a little bit of bouillon, just add a little bit of salt and a little bit of depth in the flavor. I don't add a lot, but I do add some. Bay leaves, thyme, minced garlic, fresh garlic cloves that I've minced up, and cream. And I have some mashed pumpkin. Now, back before I had weight loss surgery, I used to use chunked up, mashed up potato for the second creamy version. But now I use pumpkin because I prefer pumpkin. It's lower in carbs, and I just prefer pumpkin because it's a little bit sweet. And I have my cooked rice. So this is actually gonna make two different soups. One is just a basic traditional chicken soup, and then another one is like a creamy, thicker kind of soup. Now this is actually going to be my breakfast. It's a little bit late for breakfast, but I eat when I wanna eat. This is going to be egg noodle soup, and I'm gonna be using some of this broth to finish this off. So what I have here is I have ginger, I have garlic, I have a beaten up egg, I have corn flour, I have green onion, the stalks, which I'm gonna take out. And then for garnish, I have the green, I have this guy as well. And I'm gonna be using the sesame oil in this one as well. And I'm gonna do these all at the same time because some take longer to cook than others. So I have my 3 size pots. This will be for the Korean. This will, hang on, yes, this will be for the Korean. This will be for the traditional because I need to double that. So I'm using the bigger pot. I might even use my big Dutch oven for that one. And then I've got the smaller one for my breakfast because I only need to make a single portion for that one. So yeah, and I might even use, no, because it's got egg in it, it'll be right. Sometimes I can put rice in with the egg noodle soup, or I eat it on the side, just spoonfuls. And that'll be from egg noodle soup. So yes, so this is going to be, I don't know how I'm gonna film this, but I'll try and show you the steps as I go. But I might just show you the end product. Okay. Number 1 for the egg drop soup. Basically, you throw everything but the egg and the corn flour into the bowl, into the saucepan. You boil it on a rolling boil for 10 minutes. Then at the very end, you add in the corn flour to thicken it up. Then with a slotted spoon, you spin the liquid. And then you drizzle in the egg, forms ribbons, egg drop soup. Simple as that. Now, I'm going to be making the Korean chicken noodle soup, which is called dakgalguksu. It's basically onion, garlic, and chicken breast. Put the lid on, put some water in. I put in about half a litre, put the lid on, let it boil for an hour. Then you come back to it later. While that was going, I started on the traditional chicken soup from scratch. So I've melted my butter, I've thrown in my trio of veggie, onion, carrots, and celery, softened them up. I make a little hole, and that's where I put my finely diced garlic, so that opens it up, and then I stir it through the veggies. I make another little hole again, and that's where I put the chicken breast. And I cook it for about a minute or 2 on each side, just so it goes white, not so it goes brown. Flip it over, and then I add the liquid. Now, it's always important, stir your broth so you get the sediment from the bottom up to the top. Pour in about 8 cups of that. Popped in my bay leaves, popped in my thyme, salt, pepper, and bouillon. And then now I'm starting on my second stage of my Korean noodle soup. I've taken out the chicken and shredded it. Now I'm just cooking off the zucchini and a little bit of sesame oil. Now, I'm going to cook my noodles. What I've got here is the shredded chicken with mushed up garlic cloves with sesame oil and salt and pepper that was in the broth. I've strained out the onion and tossed that, kept the garlic, mushed it up. Now, I've added that to the chicken. Now, the chicken goes on top of your cooked noodles. So you pile on as much of that as you want. Now, you'll add zucchini topped on your chicken. So you add a little bit of that. Doesn't matter if it's hot or warm because you're going to add the hot broth. The broth is going to be absolutely roiling and boiling. Now, my broth turned out a little bit pink because I used red onion. Normally, it is quite clear because you use the chicken breast. So you just pour that over the top and add a little bit of spring onion for garnish. Absolutely delicious. Now, I'm going to stir it through and give you a little taste test. And I do take the time to admire my fantastic chopstick technique. Okay, I've had a few noodles in my day. Absolutely delicious. Now I'm going to have the spicy version where you add in the gochujang with a little bit of sesame oil, make it a bit spicy if you want something spicy, and it's yum-o. Okay, back to the traditional chicken soup from scratch. So I'm taking out the chicken just like I did with the Korean one. You take the chicken out and you shred it with a fork. I'm making sure that I remove the bay leaves because nobody wants to munch down on a bay leaf when they're having the soup. So I'm taking all that chicken out. Yep. Okay, so now I'm going to halve that soup mix. So I'm going to take out some of the liquid and some of the veg and pop it into a separate container because I'm making 2 batches with the same soup base. So I'm shredding up the chicken that I took out just now, and then I'm going to add half of that back, about 1.5 cups, back into my soup mix. Now, these are small batches, by the way, guys. These are just for me for 1 week. So what I'm doing here is taking out half of this batch and just putting it aside. It's going to go back in but this is the creamy country batch, chicken batch. So I'm taking half out, and the half that remains in the saucepan is going to be emulsified with my hand blender because I just want to get rid of some of the chunky vegetables. The half that I've kept aside has the chunky vegetables in it because I still want to have a bit of that thickness and a bit of bite from the veg, you know, just a little bit of texture in my mouth. But I'm just making a really flavorful base here. So I just emulsify it, and I like a high wall and a big long base. Because this is a hot liquid, you don't want to put it in anything small there. It's going to bubble over because that's dangerous, kids. Dangerous. Okay, so I'm just adding the other half of the chicken into this one. We throw in probably a cup and a half, maybe 2 cups of the chunky pumpkin that I've cooked off. I just cooked it in the microwave and mashed it up roughly with a fork. Didn't put any butter, salt, or pepper in it. Just literally threw it in as it is. Stirred that through. And now I've just added some cream. You can use full cream, skim cream, evaporated cream, whatever kind of cream you want. I just used full cream because it was only a small amount. Stirred it through. That's literally it. So that now is just going to go in a bowl with a little bit of rice, and delicious. Okay, so here's your finished product. The left-hand side is the creamy country chicken with a bit of rice. And on the right-hand side is your traditional chicken soup from scratch. Ta-da!